enchantment to you. It's double Kataki.
Yeah, pretty good against Affinity.
Okay.
So here we go, round 5. I'm Gavin Verhey with Jacob Van Lunen, bringing you live coverage of the Star City Games Open Series here in Louisville, Kentucky. On your right, the ineffable AJ Sacher. He is playing
Team America.
Team America.
Very similar to Chris Van Meter's list that we saw played a few rounds ago.
Yeah, just last round.
Like his opponent, Joe Bernal,
73 cards,
is playing a deck very similar to the one we saw Caleb playing. It's a black-white deck. It doesn't have Phyrexian Obliterator or Dark Ritual, but in that place he has Cabal Therapies. He's only playing 3 swords.
He's got a Batterskull.
He does have a Batterskull main. I actually like having a Batterskull main. He has an extra div top.
And speaking of what this deck can do, turn 1 Dark Confidant. That is a powerful, powerful draw.
That is a very powerful draw.
So he goes Chrome Mox, remove him to Turak, play Dark Confidant, and now so he flips Vindicate, takes 3 damage, draws. He draws Cabal, draws a land and Cabal Therapy.
Okay.
AJ leads on just Misty Rainforest.
See what he does here. I see the Cabal Therapies in his deck, but there are no Jataxian Probes. It's a combo that
Clearly he made
I
a
really
mistake.
want to play. I think Jataxian Probe is really good.
I think it's really good with a Ryo. You see what you guys can't see JVL's face right now. Yeah, Ryo Affinity with Jataxian Probe. You can do it. You can also play Cabal Therapy in that deck. It's kind of sweet. So let's see. So he could cast Cabal Therapy. He names Go for the Throat, and he hits successfully. But there are 2 Tarmogoyfs there. You think we're going to see him flash that back and get double Tarmogoyfs, leaving AJ with only lands?
It depends if he has another guy in his hand. I would probably do it. I don't know if you need to sacrifice the Confidant to do it. That seems like...
Well, if the choice is you lose your Confidant in those 2 Tarmogoyfs, would you make that trade, or would you not do that?
I guess you leave AJ with nothing but lands. It depends what else is in your hand. I guess he has a Vindicate and stuff. It's probably the right play.
I mean, if he does it, then he has nothing left to do, because he just has Vindicate Swords, means no creature action.
Yeah, but I mean, AJ just has absolutely nothing in his hand, and he at least has like a Vindicate, and then he also has like the sword to equip to the first guy he gets. So the first guy he gets is probably going to outclass AJ's guy.
Agreed.
He chooses not to. AJ is going to slam one of these Tarmogoyfs onto the table because there's no way he's going to let his opponent get a Cabal Therapy off for two Tarmogoyfs.
I think it's actually a really hard decision with Dark Confidant Cabal Therapy. Let us know what you guys think you would do out there on Twitter, because like I can see it going both ways. Like getting both Tarmogoyfs is huge, but the card advantage of Dark Confidant is so powerful going long. You can untap, throw a Vindicate at one of the Tarmogoyfs, and then he still has the other one. Or you can just save the Vindicate, crack your Dark Confidant, get rid of both Tarmogoyfs, leave AJ with just 2 Wastelands. I'm curious what you guys would do out there, so let us know on Twitter. If you're watching the replay of this in the archives, I recommend not letting us know on Twitter right now. But otherwise, if you're watching this live, please let us know. That's a really hard decision. That's one of the hardest decisions I've seen on camera in a while.
It's pretty tough. Okay. Getting the extra cards off Confidant makes Joe's play quite a bit better. He knows AJ doesn't have a removal spell. Thinking about it more, if AJ doesn't have a removal spell and he's just in top deck mode, the Confidant will kind of refund the card advantage that he would have gotten off the Therapy anyway. So, let's see.
Now you have to Vindicate the Tarmogoyf.
I don't think you necessarily have to Vindicate the Tarmogoyf. My play there would have been to Wasteland and Vindicate the other land.
I mean, I think I would have definitely Wastelanded there. I'm surprised that he didn't Wasteland.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, although I guess AJ just has tons of lands.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Although, he just drew Brainstorm, which mitigates that a little bit. Actually, yeah, maybe Wasteland isn't so good. AJ has tons of lands, including 2 Wastelands. So Wastelanding him doesn't actually really do that much for you.
It's fair.
I mean, I know that the temptation of let's kill all of his lands, all of the lands, all of them,
every single one.
And then I guess he still has a Tarmogoyf in play to deal with. I don't know. I think killing Tarmogoyf is pretty important.
Yeah.
Especially because if you draw another land, you can connect with that sword, which will be pretty strong. But you have to find a way to deal with the next
Tarmogoyf. I mean, Confidant provides a steady stream of answers, so. One thing I really like about Joe's deck is Joe's playing 3 Bitter Blossom with a Stoneforge package, and those of you that Cube Draft know how strong Bitter Blossom is with equipment.
Yeah, Bitter Blossom it's surprising that card hasn't seen more play outside of Fairies decks, because it's obviously very good in Fairies, but the 1/1 every turn is good in a lot of different strategies.
Yeah, I played in a red-black aggro deck this extended season, actually. It's a deck that I didn't actually get to play in any tournaments, but I played a great deal with it online and did very well.
Was that the Glue Draws Vampire deck?
No.
Oh, there's like this one-drop deck that had like, it was all 2/2s for 1 mana, and then like Goblin Bushwhacker, and yeah. And there's a
seems pretty awesome.
Tarmogoyf. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. It was probably the most aggressive deck I've ever seen in my entire life. It had like Bitter Blossom, Goblin Bushwhacker, Vampire Lacerator, Jackal Familiar, Goblin Guide. Yeah, it was pretty insane. In the meantime, Tarmogoyf comes down for AJ Sacher, and Joe's about to untap. We'll see what Dark Confidant rewards him with. Sitting on Chromox Sword in his hand right now, and he's got a 3rd card too, right? Flips. Wow, that's a nice one. Flips top.
It's pretty good.
And Stoneforge Mystic was his draw. Jeez.
That is not a bad turn for him.
All right. Well, here comes top. And it gets
mental
misstepped. Here comes Mystic.
Stoneforge Mystic?
Yep. And let's see. Probably. Do you want Jite here over Batterskull, or just want to grab Batterskull?
I guess you just grab Batterskull, right? I mean, Jite's like not going to be able to fight. You're not really going to have a creature that can favorably fight with the Tarmogoyf even after you get the Jite. So you're going to have to like sacrifice guys in order to get counters. Whereas like the Batterskull just like creates this thing that makes AJ never able to attack and will actually like combo with your other sword to just be able to wreck him.
I'm pretty sure that Tarmogoyf is bigger than Batterskull right now.
Well, right? Once he equips the sword to Batterskull.
Right. You put the sword on Batterskull, or even ship the Batterskull to Dark Confidant or something. Yeah. But the artifact was in the graveyard from the top, which is pretty relevant. Oh, and AJ just drew Thoughtseize. He might have had it already. I think he just drew it though. And so now we can pluck away that Batterskull from Joe's hand just in the nick of time.
And looks like AJ has a Confidant to go along with that, so this is a very strong turn for AJ also.
Yeah. Well, he can only do 1 this turn, though.
Oh, that's true. He only has access to 1 black mana.
So AJ's going to go down to 10 from this Thoughtseize, and that Batterskull is almost certainly gone. Yep, Batterskull goes away. You see Sword Chromox.
And now he knows about the Sword of Fire and Ice, so...
Yeah. And I think that's a Jace in AJ's hand, too.
Yeah.
Very nice for AJ. He just has to... He can climb back into this game. The Dark Confidant is certainly a problem. The Stoneforge Mystic is certainly a problem, but I think AJ has the tools to climb back into this game. The question is what he draws and what Joe Bernal draws, how kind that Dark Confidant is to him. Very kind to him last turn. Let's see if it continues.
And I mean, Joe's drawing 2 cards a turn, so I think the game state right now certainly favors Joe a great deal, but
yes,
AJ's a very strong player, and he has the tools he needs to perhaps claw back into the match, so let's see what happens.
All right, land.
Joe flips up a land.
And draws a Chromox.
Draws a Chromox. So, pretty bad turn for Confidanting.
Makes it for the last turn, I suppose.
Main phase, he's going to drop a sword into play, and then he'd like to equip that onto his Dark Confidant.
Okay, the Tarmogoyf is definitely bigger than that Confidant, though, right?
Oh, yeah. The Tarmogoyf is certainly bigger than the Confidant.
So he just does that and passes. And let's start with this stuff. So we have land, sorcery, instant, creature, artifact. So that's 5.
Yep. Land, sorcery, creature, instant, artifact.
So Tarmogoyf is at 5/6 right now.
Yes. And
5/6 is for 2 mana. It's all about.
This Jace is going to come down, and the Jace cannot bounce the Dark Confidant.
Protection from blue, very nice ability.
We're going to see what happens. AJ decides
to... draws Pernicious Deed. That's huge.
Brainstorm here. Ooh, Deed is just insane here, huh?
Yeah. Like you
so
play
he has
that...
to leave a Deed on the top of his library, and if he has a land to play next turn, then he'll be able to Deed away the entire board, including the Chromox and the equipment and everything, and just leave Soul, Jace, the Mind Sculptor on the table.
Well, I mean, it won't kill the sword, right? Because sword costs 3.
Well, he can Deed for 3 if he has a land. Wait, oh no, he cannot. You're right. Okay.
And maybe like he has Go for the Throat in his hand. Maybe he just wants to lose his Tarmogoyf, or he doesn't want to lose a Tarmogoyf, so he just like Go for the Throat this guy. But we'll see what he does. In the meantime, Joe flashbacks Cabal Therapy, misses, plays Bitter Blossom. So I mean, it was a pretty good position for Joe, but AJ.
Yeah, it seems to have fallen apart very quickly.
Yeah, funny what a little Jace the Mind Sculptor will do. Bitter Blossom, of course, still a card AJ I'm sure is worried about. But the Pernicious Deed will take care of it. See, him to Turak, Dark Confidant, I think Mental Misstep were the cards AJ drew there.
Yeah, AJ's hand's really good.
Yeah.
Wow, he just powered his way right back into this game through that Confidant.
So if you're AJ, I don't think you found a land though, but if you're AJ, what do you think you play this turn?
If I'm AJ, I think I just play like a. Ooh, he's just gonna play the Deed. Okay, I like that. That's fine. I probably would have just like go for the Throat of the Confidant or something.
I mean,
seems fine.
What seems likely to me is that he's going to have to kill that Bitter Blossom with the Deed eventually. So you let him get one more card off the Confidant, and then you, then in one more turn, you can hit everything. The only major issue that can happen is if Joe hits Vindicate, it's really bad for AJ here. It is a disaster.
Yeah, that makes sense. The Vindicate on that could just be really backbreaking. And you just have 4 copies of Vindicate, so...
It also forecasts what he's going to do. Alright, there's Bitter Blossom. So Joe hits another Bitter Blossom and draws Dark Confidant. So even though AJ is going to deed away Joe's board, he can just build right back up with Bitter Blossom, Dark Confidant.
Yeah. Next turn he's going to have a ton of gas right away, so... And then it's going to be Jace the Mind Sculptor against a Confidant and a Bitter Blossom. And that's an interesting fight.
Let's see. AJ draws. Go for the Throat. Which you neatly put back there with the Jace. And now if you're AJ, do you think you crack with Tarmogoyf and then just crack Deed? Or do you think you're going to just play Go for the Throat plan? Oh, he drew another Deed there, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Oh, so AJ's gonna think he's safe, and then AJ can just play the second Deed and get rid of Bitter Blossom and Dark Confidant.
Oh, nice. He can actually... I mean, he can Deed double Wasteland, right? Like Deed for 3 and then double Wasteland?
Yeah, that's brutal.
That's really, really brutal.
And that kills the Chromox. Joe goes down to only 2 lands.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's him too. Oh, he's just gonna him.
Just gonna him right now.
Just gonna make him discard 2 cards at random. Wonder what Joe's got hiding there for him.
So he wants to hit that Confidant or that
Bitter Blossom. Those are the 2 he wants to hit. See what he got.
1 and 1.
All right. Looks like Chromox Bitter Blossom.
Got the Bitter Blossom.
Got the Bitter Blossom.
And I don't think he's going to pass the turn again. He doesn't want his opponent to get another card with that Bitter Blossom. I mean, with the Confidant, doesn't really seem like a reasonable proposition. All right, so let's see. He's just going to crack Deed right now. Wipe the board of everything except for Jace the Mind Sculptor. Interesting note about Deed. Deed does not kill planeswalkers. Artifacts, creatures, and lands.
Very important.
I mean, sorry, artifacts, creatures, and enchantments. Not lands.
Unless,
it's not a 3-mana Armageddon.
They're artifact lands, in which case, yes. Oh, those lands go away. Unless they're Darksteel Citadel, etc.
Oh, he let his opponent activate the Confidant again?
Huh.
Okay.
Interesting. I mean, maybe he's just trying to get as much value as possible out of that second Deed. I'm not sure. Maybe he just really wants to double Wasteland. But I think he would have done that main phase, right?
Yeah.
What's in AJ's hand right now?
His hand is chock full of gas.
Yeah.
He has a Go for the Throat. He has another Deed. He has a Confidant.
I guess he forces.
Oh no,
to
he has a
tap the
Mental Mystic
mana.
now. So yeah, he's just in a really, really good spot.
So we force him to tap the mana to equip, but now we can crack it on his turn. I guess like if you crack it on his turn, he takes 1 damage from the Bitter Blossom. He gets another card off Confidant. He forces him to pay 2 mana. The card is important, but maybe the 2 mana and the life is more important in AJ's mind right now.
Yeah, so reset, and Joe is probably going to play a land and then drop a Jit and a Confidant. Just going to pass the turn back to AJ. Interested to see what AJ's turn has to offer. AJ can just play another Deed and crack it if he wants to. Brainstorm. It is. That is a Godless Shrine.
Yep, he has 1 Godless Shrine in his deck along with 4 Scrub lands.
Yep.
So just a little more consistency, I guess. You can fetch up the Godless Shrine early and put it in play tapped if it's not going to hurt you.
Yeah, I mean, basically, like this type of deck where it's it's hard to play basics. The white-black lands are really important. You're trying to cast cards like Hymn to Turok, and you really want to be able to cast those consistently on turn 2.
What was the 3rd card in Joe's hand earlier in the game when he had the choice between Cabal Therapy and Dark Confidant? I'm doing a quick tweet about this. He had Chromox, Sword of Fire and Ice, and...
Chromox, Sword of Fire and Ice, and what was the last one? It was Vindicate.
Oh, and Vindicate, excellent.
Yeah. All right.
So let's see.
AJ's thinking about what he wants to put back on the top of his library.
So AJ is brainstorming for the 3rd or 4th time with that Jace.
Yeah.
And Dark Confidant plus Ujite is good on Joe's side, but that Jace has been doing so much work for AJ here.
Yeah, Joe is just the top of his deck has not been that kind to him. He had 1 turn that was really, really strong with that Confidant, but besides that, he's just drawing a lot of Moxen and lands.
Right. I mean, the thing about these decks is you want to play a lot of Chromoxes. So he has 3, not 4, but still you want to play Chromox so you can play those turn 1 Dark Confidants, turn 1 Hymns, turn 1 Stoneforge Mystics, turn 1 Bitter Blossoms. But
I mean,
man,
he's only playing 18
like
lands, Joe.
Jeez, yeah.
He's playing 18 land and 3 Chromox, which is a dangerously small amount.
That is not very... I mean, he has 2 tops, I guess, if you want to count those as half a land, maybe, but...
Yeah, he doesn't even have Brainstorm, so... I played a combo deck where everything cost 1 and 2 in the entire deck, and I played 19 lands plus 3 Chromox.
And yet, he still has 5 lands in play right now.
Yeah. He's the one who gets flooded, I'm the one who gets mana screwed. That's how it goes.
So...
Variance.
All right, AJ quickly leaves that card there with the Jace.
Yeah.
And there's our Confidant. And there's a Pernicious Deed. All right, Joe's hand, he's got a Swords for the Confidant, but that's it. And now AJ is in quite the dominating position.
And
draws 3 off Jace.
I'm surprised he fate sealed that last turn and then didn't follow through and continue doing that now. If you're on that plan, you're on that plan, right?
I mean, I agree with that most of the time. There are certainly some times where, like, well, just fate seal this turn, get it up 1, and then next turn I'll brainstorm maybe.
Usually that's when your opponent's applying pressure to you or like has a bolt. I mean,
or if AJ knew he had the V-click too, that might change things.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
Because that way it's like the same kind of thing, so you can do both.
Okay, that makes sense.
So
he's actually just better than me.
So AJ takes game 1 here of this set. It looked pretty good for Joe early on, but not how it ended up playing out. I still think that was really close on that turn 2 choice with Cabal Therapy. I think that play might have made a difference in the game. I'm not completely sure how the game plays out.
Well, I mean, if Joe doesn't have that Confidant in play, then he would have drawn like land Chromox, and then then he would have gotten the div top and the Stoneforge the next turn. So he would have had 2 turns where he was just drawing blanks, whereas AJ had a pretty live top of the deck. So
He drew Stoneforge Mystic next turn.
no, that was the turn after that.
Really?
I think so.
No, because I'm pretty sure he got a really good flip,
right,
and then he got a really bad flip.
Oh, you're right. Okay, so yeah, he would have just drawn top the next turn. Yeah, he definitely would have been.
I mean, he would have been in a good position. I don't know if he would have won. I mean, obviously, and at that point, it's like, well, we're talking about what cards are on top of his deck, which he had no idea.
Yeah,
about.
obviously.
But
that's just hindsight. But
I just think it's a really close play. It's a really interesting play to me.
It's a very, very close play.
Like, it's hard to know how much all those resources are going to be worth, because obviously Dark Confidant is worth a ton of cards in the late game. I think it would be interesting to ask AJ in a little bit what he was worried about his opponent doing most in that situation.
I mean, that game, on turn 1, looking at AJ's hand, and then after Joe plucked the go for the throat with the therapy, I really thought that AJ had lost that game. Normally, when your opponent has a confidant play on turn 1 and it remains in play for 4 or 5 turns, it's pretty impossible to win a game.
I mean, his confidant flips were great, and AJ had some good technical play, coupled with good timing on the 2 pernicious deeds in his deck. Those deeds very important right there. Got rid of all the problems. Looking at AJ's sideboard here, let's see, what do we think he's bringing in? Lawan, definitely not. Although
Thrun, probably.
Thrun could be okay, yeah.
Seems fine.
Ghastly Demise, maybe. Go for the throat, sure. Pernicious Deed, a 3rd Pernicious Deed is almost certainly going to bring in.
Oh, Misdirection is coming in 1,000% of the time.
For the 1 Misdirection is get him with the him.
Yeah.
They him you misdirect it back. That's quite the beating, especially if it involved the Chrome Mox.
It's 3 for 2, where you pay no mana and they pay 2 mana. And that's very good.
Yeah. So Submerge doesn't do anything. Corrosive Grip, probably not. You could bring in the grip for the equipment, I guess, if you really, really want to. But I feel like Deed will probably be okay at containing that. And you have no way to filter to find the grip, so you just kind of draw them at these awkward positions sometimes. Would you bring in grip here?
I don't know. I guess you probably have to, right? With the cards you've seen I
guess he has top
and things like that. He has top also.
Yeah, and Bitter Blossom too. I forgot. I was thinking about equipment, but with top and Bitter Blossom, yeah, you bring it in. And there's only 2 copies.
But
so
I don't know. I don't know because Deed seems like it's just it seems like it's just redundant with Deed, and Deed does everything that it does significantly better.
Sure.
If that makes sense. And he's playing against a deck with no counter magic. So the whole reason Corrosive Grip is good is Corrosive Grip's good against the Stoneforge decks where they have Force of Wills and Mental Missteps and cards like that because it has split second. But against the deck that's just white-black like Joe's, AJ doesn't really have to worry about his Deed getting countered. The only thing that can really happen is it getting vindicated when he passes the turn. And he has enough ways to see his opponent's hand and things like that that he can kind of make sure that his opponent's not going to vindicate his Deed. Yeah,
I mean, that's the scariest thing for me. So I think maybe the grips come in, maybe they don't. I don't know. We'll see. Pernicious Deed definitely comes in.
Yep.
Go for the throat definitely comes in.
Submerge comes in.
No. Submerge definitely does not come in.
Misdirection.
Although, how sick would that be if you, how tilted would Joe feel if he got hit with a 5-mana Submerge?
Pretty rough.
That's got a smart, right? He's like, well, you couldn't possibly have any card in this situation. Submerge you. AJ's like, well, I need to get those Mirror Crusaders off the board somehow. Misdirection coming in, perhaps Thrun. I guess he doesn't know, but Joe has Gatekeeper, which makes Thrun not quite as attractive. I mean, Thrun is mostly for the blue deck, right?
Yeah, I mean, Thrun just will be crushing people like Drew and Jerry. I mean, they said they have anti-Thrun tech, right?
Yeah, the Jerry guys have ways to deal with Thrun, but I mean, that's just Jerry and Drew probably, not the rest of those people playing that deck. So here we go, on to game 2. Joe Bernal will be on the play. See, I don't see very many lands in Joe's hand, but his hand looked gorgeous, except he was 1 land short. He had him, Dark Confidant, Double Vindicate, all the goodies, but 1 land short. People just don't play enough lands, I feel, a lot of the time.
Yeah, I feel like Legacy is it's still an infant format. It's kind of funny how this is how Magic works. Back in the day, people used to always just play 20 lands, 19 lands, maybe 21. And when people play these control decks with 6 drops, and they would have 22 lands in their deck, and people would be like, oh man, you have way too many lands. I remember showing up to a tournament once with 23 lands in my deck and being lectured by somebody about how I was playing too many lands. So I mean, that's definitely something that, like, as the game progressed and, like, people started learning more about the game and, like, the game started to be understood on, like, a more mathematical level, people started realizing that you're actually supposed to play a ton of lands. And Legacy is a format where you're able to cheat because of cards like Brainstorm and cards like Confidant and cards like Div Top. But I feel like people sometimes take it too far and cheat a little bit too much. Because the games where it works, it's awesome that you don't have that much land, because if you have a few in your opening hand, you're not, like, getting, like, those bad late game, like, floods. But you need land to play.
And there's a tournament of Thoughtseize for Joe Bernal. Yeah, the big thing for me is that, especially with Wasteland so prevalent, so there's the one Dark Blast. That's insane for AJ here.
Yeah, very good.
So he sees Dark Confidant, Brainstorm, Dark Blast, Jace, Wasteland, Underground, Sea, Misty Rainforest. Has to choose which one to take. Yeah, I mean, especially with Wasteland running around in the format, I feel people don't necessarily always account for the Wastelands. Like, for example, in Joe's deck, he only has 3 Wastelands. He could easily play a 4th Wasteland as like a pseudo spell, and then just have another land that he can cast the spells with too. You know.
Yeah, I completely agree. Especially because he has some sinkholes that are crossed out right here.
Is that what that is?
I think so.
Good.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think it just says Stoneforge, but I'm not really sure. I think he crossed it out and then wrote it on the wrong column.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not sure. It's all crossed out. Who knows? Maybe it was intended to be something cool. But so Joe Thoughtseizes away AJ's Brainstorm there.
And AJ's hand's pretty good.
Yeah, AJ has a pretty nice hand. I mean, Thoughtseize is certainly a good way to pluck it apart, but let's see. All right, AJ just goes for the Wasteland on Joe.
Joe's gonna go grab another scrubland.
Or maybe just a basic this time? Nope.
And he's gonna fire off another Thoughtseize.
All right, Thoughtseize it is. Take your pick. Confidant or Jace? What's it gonna be? What do you think you take here? I think you take Confidant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it depends. If you have like a swords in your hand, maybe you take the Jace.
Yeah, I think Joe does have the swords in his hand.
I mean, Joe's deck's pretty weak to a Jace.
Yeah.
He can't counter it. And, like,
super weak.
He needs to draw another discard spell for that Jace, so I don't know if I actually do that the same way. All right, well, there's a Crossing Grip in AJ's hand, so
he did bring those
Crossing
in.
Grips.
Yeah, I think if you only have equipment, I don't know if you necessarily bring them in, but once you've seen Bitter Blossom and Top, it makes sense to bring them in. Especially because Top will give Joe such good card quality going along. AJ just plays a land and passes. Joe just plays a land and passes. Joe with 3 lands now. AJ with 2 lands. AJ plays a 3rd land, Polluted Delta. AJ sitting on 3 fetch lands, completely unwastelandable.
Yeah, he dodges them.
And that's good for him. Joe has 2 wastelands.
Yeah.
AJ just sweeps all of his fetch lands up in one motion, is like, hiya, and drops them in the graveyard.
Your Surd cannot cast Stifle or Trick Bind.
And he's going to get 3 lands.
The Bayou Trop UC combo? Or is he going to double UC or something? Yeah, the combo.
All 3 of them. So now he's very vulnerable to Wasteland, but he can cast a spell if he wants. 4, and there's Jace. Now, Joe does not have any pressure right now. Does he have a Vindicate in his hand to deal with that guy?
I think he does, yes.
Yeah, he does. So he can Vindicate away the Jace. Still gives AJ a Brainstorm, though, which is really important in this situation.
Brandon Young, to the main event
AJ's
stage,
gonna have.
please.
AJ's going to probably maybe lose a land here. Yeah, AJ might lose land here. Maybe Joe won't crack it.
All right, so Joe's going to go ahead and Vindicate that Jace.
Just, drawing 3 cards, filtering through what you want is really important when you're at this kind of stalemate position.
I think he's going to go ahead and maybe blow up the Bayou.
Blows up the Underground.
UC. I like that. That's fine.
You think that's the right one to hit there?
To be honest, it's pretty irrelevant. With the lands he had in play, it wasn't like you were going to shut him off from casting any spell in his entire deck.
Well,
so.
I mean, so you have 2 wastelands, and if you hit a green source there, you can lock him out of green, but with your other wasteland next turn.
That's true.
Where he has 3 lands that make blue,
Players,
and 3 lands that make black.
Number 4, $10 draft number 4. Please come to the main event stage.
I mean, it's probably not too relevant because any fetch land AJ draws can just find him the other one.
Yeah.
But right, let's see. So Joe searches up another scrub lands, going up to 4 mana. Let's see what he's gonna do with his mana this turn. Play a Sword of Feast and Famine with nothing to equip it on. He'll pull off that Tarmogoyf if he finds a creature. He also swords away the Goyf if he wants. Tarmogoyf is, I think it's 4 right now. Oh, Planeswalkers are in the graveyard. Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, Tarmogoyf's just gigantic right now. It's instant, sorcery, land, creature.
There's a misstep.
Planeswalker. Actually, it's only 5. There's no artifact yet, right?
Nope, no artifact. Tarmogoyf cruises in for 5 casual damage, dropping Joe to 9. I assume it's 5? Yeah, sounds about right.
Mm-hmm. Now AJ's going to get an opportunity to cast Phyrexian Revoker, and he's going to name Sword of Feast and Famine.
Yep, and points right at it. And what are you looking for here if you're Joe Bernal? Mirror Crusader, like he just drew. It's pretty good.
Yeah, Mirror Crusader is pretty. Wow, that card's really, really good.
Yeah, pretty good draw. Makes it rough for AJ. You can't Dark Blast it. You can't. It blocks Tarmogoyf. That's actually really good for Joe Bernal there.
Before, when I got a chance to talk to Adam Kai, he said that he's been very, very happy with Mirror Crusader, and specifically because of how good it is against Team America, which is what AJ's playing. So AJ's lucky that he had that Phyrexian Revoker to name Sword of Feast and Famine.
So Joe draws another Wasteland there. Wasteland's down that source. So AJ has no blue mana now.
Yeah, and I think Jace is really his only answer to the Mirror Crusader, so not having access to any of those makes it really, really tough.
He has Pernicious Deed, which can answer it.
That's true, he does indeed.
That's it, I'm pretty sure. Yep, that's all.
Oh, wow. So, okay. Here, Joe can, I'm not sure, does AJ have a mental misstep?
Yeah, well, maybe that's a Dark Blast.
It might be a Brainstorm.
No, I don't think he does.
Okay, so Joe can swords the Phyrexian Revoker.
Then get in.
And then
make AJ discard 2 cards. Take 8, discard 2 cards.
Touch the sword onto the Mirror Crusader. Oh, okay.
Well, the thing is, Joe still wins this race, right? If he serves for 4 and AJ wants to serve for 2 with his Revoker, so it's probably okay. Oh, except AJ gains some life. I can see the other play. It might be a little greedy, though.
Well, I mean, if he has the counter spell, you just don't attack the Mirror Crusader. You just have,
right.
Like, it's not like he can do anything.
Yeah, I feel like that was a pretty conservative play by Joe.
It's a very conservative play, yeah.
I mean, he's thinking, well, if he has a way to kill my Crusader, but the thing is, he knows that deck doesn't have a way to kill the Crusader.
Yeah.
Unless he brought in Submerge and somehow was able to guess it.
Okay.
And then Jace, of course. Let's see, so Joe drew up to 5, 3, 1 on 3 hits.
Yep.
And then
4 hits.
That kills AJ on 4 hits.
So AJ will die while Joe is at 1 if Joe does not crack that fetch line.
Assuming nothing else happens this game.
Yeah. But I assume something else may happen before that happens.
Seems likely. AJ now has access to Crossing Grip. It's back up to 3 lands. Is that he drew another Mirror Crusader? Oh my. Serves for 4.
And that's going to put AJ down to 8.
Second Mirror Crusader is a big problem for AJ Sacher.
Yeah.
And Joe drew both or he boarded in a 3rd one probably. So he drew 2 of his 3 Crusaders. And AJ's not satisfied with those Crusaders.
He does not seem happy about it.
You're not supposed to play that card in this format. What are you doing?
Yeah, those grips do not look great right now, but...
Alright, so AJ's probably going to Brainstorm in response. Yep. Here we see a Brainstorm. We see him. Couldn't catch the other cards. I think maybe there's a misstep in there.
A couple of missteps, yeah. And he packs it and he goes to the next game.
Well?
So we are 1-1. We're about to go into game 3. Do you think that AJ is going to take those grips out for Game 3?
I still think the grips are probably pretty good in the matchup. It did suck that game. Like, they weren't that good.
Yeah, I mean, my big issue, though, is that, like you have enough card manipulation where, like, having that much redundancy almost seems unnecessary. Like, you're siding things in to do work that your deck has already handled to work against.
Well, I mean, you have 3 deeds as ways to kill Bitter Blossom and equipments. And
Counter magic.
You have counter magic, but you
have discard.
Do you think he boarded his forces out in this matchup? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if AJ boarded out his forces against this deck.
Yeah, he probably boarded out his forces, so maybe he'll just board his forces back in. Because you can't just not have force if you know your opponent has a card that, like, essentially colds you. Like, he really
Bring in Submerge! Time to submerge him!
Yeah.
No, probably not.
I don't know if we're getting submerged.
Yeah, not a lot of good options. You can bring in Luan. Luan fights pretty nicely against Mirror Crusader.
Oh yeah, Luan.
Yeah, 2-3. Bring it, Crusader.
That's actually hilarious. If he brings in the Luan, I will laugh forever.
There's no way. There's no way. There's too many cards that are moving around.
Like, I mean, I'd rather have the Luans than the grips, I think.
The Luans are so corner case. Like, you pay 4 mana for a 2-3, and then if your opponent, I mean, I guess the 3 toughness is relevant. All of Joe's guys are 2 power. It's so cute though. It just feels like the kind of cute thing. Like, I know AJ, and if like he knew we were talking about Luan right now, he'd probably be like, "Man, that's Gavin. That's so cute. Why would you ever do that?" Like, you know, maybe if I were a child, I would do that. Like you know, like I just can't see AJ bringing in Luan here, but maybe he will.
I don't know though. Like in Pro Tour San Diego last year, we saw Kyle Bajamis, and he sided in like Sable Stags and stuff like that against White Weenie just because 3/3s turned out to be really good.
Yeah. AJ is a master. He's really good, and
yeah,
if he brings in Luan, like, I give him his props for that.
Yeah, I would not bring in Luan, but I wouldn't bring in Crossing Grip either. So I'd bring in Misdirection.
I agree.
The Revokers, and I'd bring in the Deed.
Let's see. I guess
I'd bring in Demises too.
I guess
another non-black, right?
Yeah, non-black. I guess a good question to ask is, what is AJ taking out? If you look at that, maybe that gives you a better idea of how many cards he has to move in. I think he's probably took out Force of Will. So he took
that would be the first card I would take out.
Right, so he probably took out 4 forces. Maybe you cut some missteps, probably not. It hits Therapy, Thoughtseize, Top, but that's it.
That's still fine, like
and Swords. You probably still keep in all 4. I think maybe you can shave 1, but probably not. You just don't want to like draw too many of them early on, I guess. But probably board out 4 forces,
which gives some room for double Revoker, Misdirection, Deed.
Yeah, it's probably no grips or Luan this time. Although if AJ plays Luan, I will be proud of him. I think that'll be like if he stops Crusader with Luan, it's not going to happen. It's about as likely as him casting Submerge. But
yeah, the reason it's not going to happen also is that his opponent will just like be like, "Oh, you played Luan." It's not like it's an instant. I'm not going to attack you with my Mirror Crusader. I'll wait till I draw equipment.
Yeah, exactly.
And like even Chit's good enough because first strike damage will go on, and we'll get 2 counters, and they can just shrink your guy.
Yeah. He's not bringing Luan, but the idea was in my head for a second. You supplanted. You incepted me with this idea of Luan. But yeah, no, I think you take out those 4 cards. Maybe you leave in 1 grip if you want to, but I don't think you want to cut any of your other cards. Maybe, like, V-Click's probably still pretty good here, right? It blocks.
Yeah, I like V-Click a lot. It flies. I mean, the issue is, like, V-Click is, like, somewhat weak against Bitter Blossom. But then again, like, you're deeding and stuff, so it's different. Man, all I want to do is play Taxian Pro with a Ryo now. Why did you do this to me? I can't even think about anything else.
I
I'm
knew,
like
I,
trying to like think about how
see,
they're gonna sideboard,
look,
and every like in my head I'm just like Arayo.
See, I was very
Arayo.
careful. I was very careful to not tell you until day 2, so it wouldn't corrupt you the entire weekend.
It's really, I just have like numbers swirling around in my head.
Yeah, like it's like a Mox Opal too. It's really easy to flip.
Yeah, really easy.
Like all the Moxes. Yeah.
Tons of Moxin, and there are tons of ways to tutor for it too.
You can also jam 4 Street Rays, just make your deck more consistent if you want. Like, it's a thing. You could ball turn 1 probe therapy. Go for it. All right, looks like AJ is good to keep. They're just waiting on Joe. Joe ships it back. I couldn't quite make out what was in his hand.
AJ has an okay opener. It's definitely not a mulligan, but
What are the cards? I see some lands, but that's it. I think it's a
some
misstep
lands,
and a force.
him, and a force and a misstep.
Oh, I wonder if he boarded his forces back in. Or maybe you never boarded them out. I don't know. It felt like to me like normally when your opponent has a lot of hand disruption, like forces card disadvantage, so you don't just want to like be relying on your forces all the time.
Yeah.
But it's maybe AJ boarded them back in just so he could get like Mystics, Confidants, Crusaders, like you said. You need an answer to the Crusader.
Yeah, because the big issue here is just that like Joe has this one card in his deck. Like we saw game 1, like Joe did everything that he wants to do. Like literally everything that his deck does, he did against AJ in game 1, and it just didn't matter. But then in game 2, we saw him play a single card, Mirror Crusader, and that was it. Joe's gonna mulligan this. It's a no lander, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's staring at it for a while. It's like, man, I have the Sensitive Divining Top, but we can't do that. Man, kind of sucks. Joe going mulliganing down to 5 cards in game 3.
Yeah.
Is never fun. And especially when you're playing.
It's really fun when you win, though.
It is true. I mean, you turn 1 Dark Confidant, and
suddenly it doesn't matter.
Cross your fingers.
It's like basically this is a 4-card hand, but soon it's gonna be 5, then it's gonna be 6, then it's gonna be 7.
All right. It's going down to 5 cards, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, at 4?
Rashad says he thinks it's 4 cards.
He's going out of 4 cards right now, so.
Let's see. Let's see. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh no, it is only 4 cards. Him, Mystic, Confidant, Provoker.
No lander again. He's going to 3. Yeah.
Oh,
I
man.
mean, he has to go to 3. He doesn't have a choice at all. Like.
Yeah. This is lights out.
This is it. I've won games when I've mulliganed to 4. I have never won a game when I've mulliganed to 3. So
I have won a game on mulligan to 3, and it might have actually involved Dark Confidant, but I don't think AJ's going to lose this one with this 7 cards.
Yeah, AJ has a him in his hand. Like, him is good when your opponent doesn't mulligan. Him is really good when your opponent mulligans to 2 or whatever this guy's going to at this point.
So there's a story from back in the old days of Magic, like really early Pro Tour. This guy mulligans 3 cards, and his opponent's like, you should mulligan again. Finally, he's like, fine, I'll mulligan. He mulligans into Dark Ritual, land, draws Necropotence on his first turn, and goes up.
Sees to win.
So what happened? So he sees his Confidant, or sees his Mirroring Crusader. He's got Confidant, which is decent. If it's a land, it's not a land. Oh, so he had another land already. Like he could play turn 2 Dark Confidant. See if AJ has an answer.
I mean, this is a very, very reasonable 4-card hand. So AJ has to go for the
3-card hand.
3-card hand. Wow. Yeah, this is a very, very reasonable.
Until AJ kills that Confidant. I got
Mirror Crusader.
So Mirror Crusader got discarded. Dark Confidant got go for the Throated. Vindicated Underground Sea. And all right, Joe passes. He has Elspeth sitting in his hand though. 1 more land. Oh, AJ, make sure that doesn't happen. You can Thoughtseize. And you take see Force and go for the Throat? You probably want to take the Force just because the Elspeth is too important. Let's see. Another Thoughtseize for Joe Bernal.
So Joe thought this again.
All right,
See here.
so JJ did keep the Crossing Grips in from the last game.
Okay.
There's no off the top. Oh, you
know,
draw
he's
swords.
playing off the top and against a 3-card hand.
Another Tarmogoyf. Uh-oh. Yeah, Joe was at a point almost where he could cast that Elspeth, but AJ wastelanded him down, and it's rough, a lot rougher now. Thoughtseize again for Joe Bernal. Passes
Yeah, this
back.
time it shortens the clock.
I feel like
so
I'm
he
watching
gets
this game in
it.
fast forward. There's moving
Yeah,
so
I mean,
fast.
This is extraordinarily fast. Like Tarmogoyf's just charging into the red zone over and over again.
Wasteland. Okay.
A wasteland passes.
Plays deed.
Deed, attack.
Ah, so by playing the deed first,
Yep.
cracking it, because another card type in the graveyard brings Tarmogoyf to
That'll do it.
lethal. And that's it. AJ Sacher takes the match.
Yeah.
Good work, clever footwork by AJ. And having his opponent mulligan down to 3 cards probably didn't hurt either.